Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Real Talk Bougie. Guys, one of you guys sent me this video. It was posted yesterday by WXYZ TV in Detroit and wanted me to take a look at it. It was an update on the Naziah Harris case. Um, Apparently they've done a investigation into the CPS allegations. We know that Jernell and Kawana and maybe others have filed CPS reports on the family, on Jarvis, on the situation that was going on, and that they were concerned because Jarvis was in the midst, but it seemed like nothing ever came of it. Well, WXYZ looked into it, and let's hear about what happened, and then we'll talk about it as we go along. Let's get into it. Okay, let's get into it, guys.
Did Detroit police miss a chance to save the life of Naziah Harris? Records uncovered by the 7 investigators tonight show that they did.
Nearly 2.
Okay, let's go back and look at that real quick before they get into the story. So basically, this is a CPS report. Looks like Jarvis was. We'd seen something like this on another channel, but let's see what they're talking about. So this is the report. Jarvis Butts, date of birth 11/21/82. Alleged perpetrator blank is the mother of blank 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 blank. So 8, 5, 3, and 6 months. So that must be Shannon, because I think she's got the, I'm not sure how many kids the other mothers have, but I think that Shannon has the most, as far as like volume of kids. Even though he has a array of baby mothers, Shannon has quite a few. Jarvis is the father of blank and lives outside of the home. Naziah is the niece of blank and lives outside of the home. There was an incident at a birthday party. One of the children that attended the party accused Jarvis of sexual abuse. Naziah and blank reported that Jarvis touched both of them inappropriately as well. Jarvis touched blank in her private area and it hurt. This was never reported. Jarvis is a sex offender and felon. Blank is sending pictures of herself on Instagram. Blank was asked to send a picture of her privates and do an act for the person on the phone. Blank whooped blank instead of talking with her and reporting the information to law enforcement. I mean, wow. That's exactly what we've heard, and it's not surprising, because it sounds like when the allegation was made, somebody got mad and somebody discipline the child physically rather than talk to her and find out more detail and then go to the responsible adult who's taking advantage of the minor, right? Okay, interesting.
Harris. Records uncovered by the 7 investigators tonight show that they did.
Nearly 2 years before Naziah went missing, police received a warning involving the man now accused in her murder.
And tonight, DPD says they messed up. 7 investigator Ross Jones.
They messed up. That's their response. Wow.
Reveals what went wrong and what's changed as a result.
Mr. Butts targeted and befriended women who had to have sexual relationships with their young daughters. He was a classic and expert groomer and pedophile.
On the same day Jarvis Butts would be accused of killing and sexually abusing 13-year-old Naziah Harris, police and prosecutors urged the community to protect its children at all costs.
But when it comes to our children, we must be deliberative, we must be diligent, and laser focused on their safety.
We make strong and good decisions for our children, keep them out of harm's way.
But more than 20 months before Harris ever went missing, Detroit police had been warned that she'd been victimized by Jarvis Butts and failed to ever investigate.
There was enough for the department to ask about Naziah.
Yeah, we could have done better. No question.
Last month, we showed you that Jarvis Butts had been the subject of multiple complaints to Children's Protective Services, including at least one that named Naziah Harris as a victim.
I mean, this is awful. it's okay. The police department are admitting that they messed up. They could have done more. CPS is being called to account, but my goodness, I mean, this is absolutely just a nightmare. That's why victims are always so afraid to speak up, because they speak up and then you have to deal with the aftermath of absolutely nothing happening and not being protected. That's awful.
Was enough for the department to ask about Neziah.
Yeah, we could have done better. No question.
Last month, we showed you that Jarvis Butts had been the subject of multiple complaints to Children's Protective Services, including at least one that named Neziah Harris as a victim. What we did not know at the time is that CPS wasn't the only agency who'd been warned. In April of 2022, in response to a complaint CPS had received, workers there submitted a law enforcement notification, or LEN, to Detroit police. It's an alert to possible criminal behavior that may warrant a police investigation. In this case, the complaint told DPD that there was an incident at a birthday party where a child accused Butts of sexual abuse. Neziah.
I feel like that's the situation that happened that let him know he could do whatever he wanted. When he finally had another case not go any further than just an interview, and then it gets sent to the police and the police did nothing about it, that's when he probably knew, yeah, I got this thing. I can pretty much do whatever I want.
And name withheld reported that Jarvis touched them inappropriately as well. It read, Jarvis is a sex offender and a felon. Neziah's great aunt, Jernell,
So there's Janelle and Kiwana. Okay.
says she filed that complaint with CPS that ultimately made its way to DPD.
They're the police. They're supposed to investigate. I mean, it had all the everything is there.
But the department never did investigate, at least with respect to Neziah.
Wow.
Instead, according to officials, only the other alleged victim named in the report was questioned because CPS only listed her under the victim header, even though Neziah was identified as an abuse victim too.
Does that make any sense to you?
No, makes zero sense. Either they didn't read it or they didn't comprehend it. That's my opinion.
Tom Berry is a retired Detroit police lieutenant who reviewed the report that bears Neziah's name.
How many victims do you see identified there?
2.
I see 2 for sure, maybe 3. Somebody dropped the ball. It's pretty clear by reading that there's at least 2.
Well, yeah, there's 2 victims that are blank. So it says blank, and then they specifically mention Neziah. They did not blank out Neziah's name at all. But they specifically, or maybe they didn't redact the name just because this particular story is about Neziah, but it's possible it is 3. I agree, but definitely 2.
Allegations of sexual assault there.
Her name was right in the report. At a minimum, the department should reach out to her and at least ask if something happened.
Makes zero sense. Either they didn't read it or they didn't comprehend it. That's my opinion.
Tom Berry is a retired Detroit police lieutenant who reviewed the report that bears Neziah's name.
How many victims do you see identified there?
I see 2 for sure, maybe 3. Somebody dropped the ball. It's pretty clear by reading that there's at least 2 allegations of sexual assault there.
Her name was right in the report. At a minimum, the department should reach out to her and at least ask if something happened. But that didn't happen.
It did not.
Today, Assistant Chief Charles Fitzgerald makes no excuses, saying much has changed with how the department handles the more than 5,000 LEN reports it receives every year. Unlike when the Neziah complaint came through, he says DPD now interviews everyone identified inside, regardless of whether they're listed under the victim header. Complaints are triaged and are assigned quickly, and missing information, like in this case, Neziah's last name, is ferreted out by investigators.
It's a horrible excuse. We still should have done what we should have done.
The fact that they acknowledge it shouldn't have worked this way, and it took for something so tragic to happen to her, you're damn right it shouldn't have worked that way. They should have did their job.
Kiwana Morton is one of Neziah's relatives who says she filed complaints with CPS too. She wonders tonight if the 13-year-old's fate might have been different had police ever bothered to reach out.
Somebody has to answer for that. They absolutely do. CPS and DPD.
I think the obvious question that a case like this begs is how many other victims or alleged victims in reports like this were named but never contacted by DPD?
Yeah, prior to the recent process, I don't know. I would hate to speculate even.
Do you worry that there are other cases like
Of course, yeah, for sure.
I don't think it stopped in one child sliding through the crack. They clearly weren't doing their jobs.
This is horrible.
We don't know, of course, what Neziah might have said to police if she'd been interviewed. The other alleged victim who was questioned made no disclosures of abuse. Jarvis Butts denied he touched anyone when questioned by police, and he has maintained his innocence since being charged. But by not asking the question, you know she couldn't possibly have said something was going on, and that's what haunts the family and will haunt the family, I think, for a very long time.
Well, of course, trust so hard when the system fails you, you know.
And to see their names in a report 2 years earlier is frightening.
And if they're saying that procedures have changed, certainly our hope is that fewer people will fall through any cracks. All right.
Thanks a lot, Ross.
Wow, guys, it's an unfortunate update. I mean, I guess in effort to kind of make it make sense. Okay, it's kind of one of those things where, okay, let's make it make sense and let's figure out where the ball was dropped. But at the end of the day, Jarvis has murder charges. And it's really unfortunate that it had to get to where it got to have a sit down to acknowledge that clearly there's a problem with CPS. CPS has a tremendous workload. There's no doubt about that. And they have a lot of work to do. And they have clients who are children who have very serious issues at their homes. But the outcome, she did not have a good outcome. Her outcome was very bleak because unfortunately she had to deal with a predator who convinced her that they were in some sort of a relationship that ultimately has him up on some murder charges. So this is really, really sad update, and sad for the people of Detroit and people who the people who will depend on CPS and Detroit police to do the right thing in the event that someone that they love is in distress, or just someone who is not able to make their own decisions, a child who is in distress and needs help. So it's sad. And you know, we see Kiwana and Jernell over here on the forefront, and we know that they were very instrumental in ringing the alarm and letting everyone know that this was going on and filing the reports. And, you know, I'm glad that they're out here front and center and getting out here and calling the appropriate people to the carpet to answer for what was not done. Also, you know, in their reporting to social services and the police, there was only but so much that could be done because they weren't the guardians, they weren't the parents. Annette, the grandmother, was spending a lot of time denying anything was going on. And as we saw in the clip of the report, if I can pull that back, they said that let's see. It said blank is sending pictures of herself on Instagram. We'll pass that. Blank whooped blank instead of talking with her and reporting the information to law enforcement.
Records uncovered by the 7 investigators tonight
just
show
awful.
that they did.
So whichever one, which it might not have been Neziah because they did not blank out Neziah's name, but one of them who got there, whose name, so someone, which I'm going to just assume is Shannon. Shannon is the mother of, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then since then, so in 22, she would have been pregnant, right? Having the next baby that she had, number 5, right? So in 2022, she would have had baby number 5. and that the second to the youngest would have been probably about 6 months. Blank is the mother. So blank whooped, who would have been in a position to whoop one of the children? Blank whooped blank. So probably this one, the 8-year-old, which we'd heard of that. It's just more validation and more confirmation that Shannon was fully aware. Shannon was complicit. She was turning a blind eye, and she may have even been like a silent conspirator to it all. Like, as long as I don't know about anything, then I'm not going to do anything. But she found out about something. Like, why did the child get whooped? Did they get whooped because she found out about something, she talked about something, or she got called out for something as a mother? I mean, like, which one is it? It could have been all three of the things. Anyway, unfortunate. Anyway, guys, this is an update. We know Jarvis has court in June, and the trial is set to start in October with jury selection. So comment down below. I mean, no surprises here, but it is just another disturbing update to what is already a really horrible situation. And once again, justice for Neziah Harris, and really unfortunate. I feel really, really, really sad for this family. And we'll be looking for updates for the next hearing, the next case conference that's happening in June. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Make sure your notifications are set so that when I go live, post another video, do another update, if anything else comes up, you will be notified as soon as possible. Thanks for coming through, and I will see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye.